What would be the worst thing to hear as you're going under anesthesia before a surgery? This one's going to be tasty. Let's hope this doesn't go like the last one. Doctor, is this the circumcision or the testicle removal? Nurse, I thought it was the appendectomy. Narrator, it was a root canal. If something goes wrong, let's not get the law involved. One hand washes the other, okay. Okay, pull up the WikiHow article. When I was being prepped for surgery, the nurses were joking with the anesthesiologist about the work Christmas party the night before. I asked whether I should be worried. They said the surgeon was wearing a hula girl outfit and dancing on the table. They swore me to secrecy. I don't specifically recall, but the nurses told me when the surgeon turned up I said to him, I hear you have a nice pair of coconuts, before I passed out. It was the 90s. Life was simpler then. Here's a tape being inserted into a VCR. Hi there. Welcome to the first video in the So This Is Your First Surgery series. Today, we learn about open heart surgery. Surgeon 1, is he out yet? Surgeon 2, no. Surgeon 1, it will be fine. True story. Got my skull drilled to get out teeth. I did not think it was fine. I know what you did with my wife. Now, let's see if I can still make a straight line. All-you-can-eat buffet workers, what are your horror stories? My first job was as a dishwasher in an all-you-can-eat fried catfish buffet. People are animals. Especially the ones that get far more food off the buffet than they can eat. Then they take the leftovers and pile them on a plate or tray, cover in ketchup and tartar sauce, then pour their iced tea over the top of all that. A lot of people did that, got at least 2 plates like that a night. Not an employee or a customer, but we had a Chinese buffet shut down for a health code violation, which was employee was cutting veggies while taking a shit. To this day I still wonder if that means dude brought a bucket into the kitchen or veggies into the shitter, and I honestly don't know which is worse. My parents owned an all-you-can-eat buffet and I was there every day of my life from 4 to 14. My favorite horror story is when a couple came in to eat, obviously. They loved the crab legs, and every time my mom put some out, they took it all. Also, just a reminder, crab legs are expensive. Forget the other customers, they just took it and ate it all. So they're there for maybe 2 hours now and it's getting dark. They've eaten through at least a week's stock of crab legs and my mom finally decides it's enough. She stops putting it out in the buffet and brings individual plates to the customers who wanted it but couldn't get any due to this couple. Understandably, the couple is angry. They literally flipped the chairs at their table, flipped their plates, bowls, cups, etc., and completely trashed their area. Food was all over the floor, table, chairs. Sticky soda was dripping into the carpet. They left in a hurry, but someone caught their license plate. We called the cops and I think they said they charged them with something. I can't remember the aftermath details clearly, because I was probably 8 or 9 years old, 20 now. I just remember looking at the mess and feeling really angry that my sister and I had to clean it up with our mom. It was a family-run business, so we didn't have much help. Anyways, that's my horror story. The end. Edit, typos cause I was on mobile. A woman came in with 2 of her kids, and had a pretty regular meal. You pay when you leave at our place, and she decided to sneak out with her younger daughter before paying, leaving her underage son alone at the table. We caught on pretty quick and sent someone after her, who found her in her car in the parking garage, waiting for her son to come as well. She refused to come back in and pay, so we had to keep her son hostage until the police came to handle the situation. What some people will do to their kids, I swear. Edit, forgot to mention we also found out from her son that she stole one of the manager's keycards and they would regularly come into the hotel and use the card to go swimming in the top floor pool. Smart, I'll give her that, but still. Not mine, but I had a buddy who was 400+ pounds and the dude could put away some food. He went to a casino buffet that was one of the higher-end ones that had crab legs and steak. On about his fourth or fifth plate stacked full of crab legs, the manager came out and gave him $250 in free slot play to leave the buffet. Went as a customer to a Golden Corral. I'm walking to the chocolate fountain and 3 little girls step in front of me, and all 3 of them just go hands deep in the fountain. The family was the first table by the fountain and all they did was laugh about how cute it was. Employees turned it off immediately. At one point myself and 2 other family members worked at a Golden Corral, each in different sections, because small towns don't have a lot of job options for high school/college kids. I worked in the bakery, which was surprisingly low in horror stories other than the chaos that remained after a large group of children came through. My brother worked the steak station. He got these regulars that would tip him pretty well if he would prepare blue steaks for them. The very idea of ordering blue steaks from a buffet makes me gag. My cousin worked the salad bar. Management would require her to keep seafood items on the bar for long after the point where they'd be safe to consume. I think the record was chilled shrimp from Mother's Day that stayed for over a week and a half. They finally caved and let her toss them when a customer complained about the smell. Buffet where I live got shut down for serving coyote meat and labeling it as other meats. Not a buffet, but I worked at a pizza parlor that offered a lunch buffet of endless pizza. The lunch ran from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. This gentleman comes in, I think he was homeless. He serves up a sky-high plate of pizza and just goes to town. He stayed from the beginning to the very end to make sure he got his money's worth. Well, his body didn't appreciate being stuffed like a piñata of pizza. He got up, waddled fast to the bathroom, and next thing I know I'm being told he had liquid shit trailing behind him to the bathroom and inside the bathroom. I was informed by my boss about the incident. I told him I was just heading out for a break. I was not about to clean that up. Not a worker, but I once saw a grown man have a childlike meltdown over the fact that he showed up to soup plantation too late and missed out on the biscuits and gravy. Teachers of Reddit, what are your the parent is just as bad as the student stories. High school teacher, and we have something called soft lockdowns, known as shelter in place by some schools, where doors are shut and locked but classes continue as normal. These are pretty common and can be used for anything from a medical emergency, want everyone out of the hallway if someone needs to be cared for, because high schoolers are nosy, to a fugitive running around the neighborhood. And #X200B. We've been in many soft lockdowns because parents have come to the school ready to hunt down and beat the crap out of a teacher. They usually come in the front office, can't access the rest of the school without someone opening the secured door, screaming, cussing, threatening everyone in the area. You get the picture. Often, they're removed by the SRO and given a criminal trespass citation. We have a pretty high rate of fights and violence between students. When I see parents acting this way, it all makes sense. Teaching adjacent. I used to be an educational facilitator at a science center. During the school year I would be the liaison for school trips. During the summer, I would run the summer camps. Parents used to like to plunk their kids in science camp because it is educational. We had a pile of hands-on programming. I have to say, it was pretty fun. Fun unless your kid aggressively hates science and you are forcing them to be there. Enter Jason. Jason was a shit on day one. We welcomed them to camp by making liquid nitrogen ice cream. Jason didn't give a shit. He refused to eat stupid nerd ice cream. Through the day his attitude got worse. He refused to participate, called the other kids nerds and losers. He was an all-around pain in the ass. At pickup, I pulled his mother aside and said, I don't think Jason really wants to be here. We can arrange for a refund or see if we can transfer him to another program he will find more to his liking. His mother replied, it's your job to make him want to be here, clearly you suck at it. Great. Day 2. Jason shows up with an even bigger chip on his shoulder. The day's activity was engineering. Fort building. Every kid loves a good fort. Except Jason. Jason picked up one of the plastic tubes and cracked a kid across the back of the leg with it. As I run over to tend to his victim, Jason cracks me across the side of the head with the tube with all his might, breaking my glasses and giving me a decent bruise across the side of the face. It takes two of us to disarm Jason and separate him from the group. We pull him into the admin office and call his parents to come now. He is no longer welcome. His mother shows up a good 3 hours later, absolutely livid. Not about Jason's behavior. Not in the least. There was no apology or understanding. Instead, as we ejected her son from camp, she turned to us and said, "I hope you all get cancer." I had a student last year who was new to the school. Really nice, friendly, shy, and hilariously absent-minded. He would come to school at 2 days a week with either shirt on backwards, inside out, or both. So I wanted to talk to his parents about how his absent-mindedness was affecting his learning. Mom shows up at 5. Dad shows up 1 hour late. We have a good chat and they get up to go. As I'm walking them out, I said, "I will show you the shortest way to the parking lot." The dad replies with, "I didn't park in the parking lot." So I said, "You can go the same way to the street." He said, "I couldn't find the parking entrance, so I just drove around and parked on asphalt play area." Sure enough, I walk by and his car is next to the playground. So it all came together after that. The mother who was screaming in the office, "I'm gonna hit you in your fucking face," because a tutor dared to say the kid was having behavior issues during free tutoring. Now I know why the 5 of your 11 kids in our school are terrible hot messes. Poor things don't have much of a change. Mom was banned from the building because this was the last straw. This is maybe just a bad parent story. I had a little girl in my pre-K class, age 4, named A. She was a delight. Very smart, very well behaved, and just lovely. Always got good behavior marks and was always excited to be at school. I used to braid my female students' hair after they would wake up because their hair would always be in tangles, and A was coloring and shouted out, "Miss Bo Max Kent is so good at doing hair," like she was singing a song to herself. She was honestly one of my faves. Her mother couldn't stand her. Some days they'd get along fine, but more often than not A would sour as soon as her mom came to pick her up. One day, during morning drop-off, I'm sitting at my desk while the kids are playing at their tables before the actual school day/academics begin, and I look up to see A being dragged by the wrist into my classroom by her mother. Her mother hauls her in front of my desk, lets her go, and says, "She's your problem now," and walks out. I didn't have enough time to even greet nor say goodbye to the mom. She was in and out of there so fast. I walked around my desk and gave a big hug and told her how glad I was that she was at school today, and she immediately brightened, "Had a great day," etc. I don't think mom was actively abusing A, like, nothing to call CPS for, but it was painfully obvious she did not like her daughter. It was heartbreaking. If you mean crazy, I got this. Let's call this student Amy. Kinda quiet. Kind of quirky. Enter, Mom. 1. Hit a teacher with her car. The youngest daughter darted out in front of the car to get in the other side, against protocol. Supervising teacher literally jumps into action and put a hand out yelling, "Stop." Car hits hand. Driver drives away. Hospital visit required and police called. 2. Parent signs up to read to the class. She chooses a book called That's Disgusting. Pretty run-of-the-mill call and answer stuff. Pick your nose. That's disgusting. Forget to wash your hands. That's disgusting. Until she got to, put your finger in the cat's behind. That's, pardon. That's not a thing. Please stop introducing the idea to these 8-year-olds that putting your finger in a cat's behind is a thing. 3. Amy's mom wants to check in on Amy, so she peeks through the hallway window during class. A student raises his hand. Amy's mom is staring at us. I turn to look. Mom ducks. I walk to the hallway door and open it. Mom remains ducked. We have a 2-minute conversation with my duct on the ground of when it is appropriate for parents to be on campus. Not a teacher but a lad I knew in school was a drug dealer. His mother worked in the police force, so if she ever caught him she'd be obliged to report it, as she could lose her job if she didn't. Cut to a parents' evening in year 11, 15-16 years old, and he sits down with the teacher sat to our side to have his meeting while I'm having mine. After a small while I phase out and I chime in on hearing the teacher say he's not doing well and failing his classes. This is towards the end, so as they end the meeting the mother shouts, "I wish you weren't my son, you're the biggest failure. I hate you, you were the biggest mistake I have ever made." Now, not to judge home life, he was a little shit but he was not a nasty guy. I just don't know how a mother could talk to their son like that, especially in front of his peers and other adults. Obligatory not a teacher. But I have this classmate who really likes to flaunt and is infamous for being one of the most annoying, arrogant people in world, although she does get the top grades. When she went to an international competition she won several medals and even a champion award, out of probably 1,000 plus top students who represent top schools, and her mom said to the other students, "Why are y'all so shit, why can't you be as talented as my daughter?" I wasn't there personally cause I'm not smart, but when the other students who were representing our school in this competition heard her say that, it was like such a moment of clarity, cause like wow, that's where she got her arrogance from. A bit different because this is a positive story. I'm not a teacher but I taught for a freshman chemistry class last year, so college kids but ones that were in high school like 3 or 4 months previously. One kid in my section was amazing, scary smart, always got great marks on assignments, asked fantastically phrased questions that the professor loved to answer, was a joy to be around during the lab section because he was so easy to be friendly with. He clearly loved and excelled at the work and enjoyed being in the environment, which definitely extended to the rest of his lab group. They were consistently the most talkative but also got the highest marks on assignments. About halfway through the semester we introduce a concept that he struggled with a bit, so he came to a few tutoring sessions and he was a joy to help one-on-one. Our third tutoring session was in the campus Starbucks and went late, so he had to get his dad to pick him up because his ride to campus that day had already left. His dad came a bit early, so he ordered a drink and sat down with us for a bit, and I immediately understood where this kid got everything from. His dad was wicked smart, asked relevant questions in a way that made me think about the material in serious depth, same way that his son did, cracked a couple of dad jokes that made me laugh, and was beyond easy to talk to the point where we had stayed an extra 30 minutes beyond what we were supposed to, swapping between going over the material and cutting up. Just a joy to be around from day one until the day of the final, and the apple clearly didn't fall far from the tree. A student got into a fight. That student called her mom, and the mom showed up with younger siblings. The mom got physical with administration. One of the younger siblings was talking shit as that happened. Edit, typo. Erotic store employees, what are some interesting stories/excuses people have given when buying toys/equipment? NSFW. I had a guy who would come in once every 2 weeks or so. He would buy around 10/20 movies and not much else. At least one of the movies would always be a one from our gay section, which always prompted him to explain he was from a state where you couldn't buy porn legally, so he would buy it for multiple friends, one of which happened to be gay. I didn't really care and always just said something like, "That's nice." The best sale I ever had was a man who bought a few movies, a couple fleshlights, and a life-sized fake ass. His ticket came to about $1,300. It was right at the end of the night. I helped him carry it to his car. Yes, the ass was that big, included thighs and part of torso. He left and I closed up for the night. The next day my manager asked about the sale and I told him the story. He informed me the man called and said he bought a couple movies and that was it, and demanded the rest of the charges be removed from his card. He said it was probably a bad case of buyer's remorse. I still got my commission and never heard about it again. I had a husband come in looking for a vibrator with an extra long handle. He kept insisting longer, longer, longer whenever I showed him a model, so I finally asked why the necessity of length. He told me his wife had really let herself go and he needed a long handle so he wouldn't have to get too close to her. Not a worker, but a customer. I wandered into one and asked for the most embarrassing, inappropriate gag gift to give to a guy at his bachelor's party. Many years ago somebody told me that you could buy an inflatable sheep at those stores, so I was hoping to find something like that in there, or maybe a horse rear you could screw or the world's smallest penis pump. The cashier looked at me very strangely/suspiciously and said they didn't sell anything like that. I don't think she believed it was a gag gift. Long post. One sticks out in my mind. We had a woman in her 60s to 70s that came in and bought an excessive amount of DVDs. They were all different kinds too. Hetero, homo, fetish, everything. I was so caught off guard I started talking to her about free porn sites, but she said her son prefers DVDs. I must have given her an odd look, so she elaborated and said her son was mentally challenged and had been sexually inappropriate behaviors in the past, so she bought him the movies and no more incidents. I didn't believe her until she came back in a week later, with her son. I spent the next 2 years seeing them every 2 weeks or so. She started coming in and handing me cash and would go sit in the car while he made his selections. He was non-verbal and I'd have to help him pick out the movies and filter for anything that looked particularly aggressive per her request to me. I eventually started keeping DVDs to the side for him and would give him the free promotional DVDs and sample lubes we'd get. TLDR, old woman buying porn for her mentally challenged son turns out to be telling the truth. My first wife used to sell sex toys. She'd go to conventions with other sex toy sellers and distributors. One of the sellers had a market surrounded by 3 colleges, one of them Ivy League. She said that she had so many college-age women who didn't know how anything worked down there that she started carrying pamphlets for Planned Parenthood, "So this is your body, 12 facts about your cycle," and other honest-to-goodness educational materials. Women would ask her medical questions and she'd have to explain what a gynecologist was for. "Honey, I just sell glowing condoms and dildos shaped like tentacled dinosaurs, you need to ask a real medical professional these questions." And this was in 2009. I used to work at an adult novelty store. We sold all sorts of things from SFW stuff like jewelry and masks to NSFW stuff like 2-foot-long double-sided dongs. Most folks didn't find the need to make an excuse for what they were buying. There were 3 types of customers. We would have the regulars, usually men in their 60s or older who would come in for a few DVDs and some enhancement pills. They don't talk much, in and out. We would get the college kids in for a laugh. They'd wander around the store for an hour touching everything and usually leave without buying anything. If they did buy, it was always a gag gift. Then there were the professionals, either performing drag queens, strippers, or professional dominatrixes. They were my favorites. They were kind, polite, and always knew exactly what they wanted. About 5 years ago I wanted a fleshlight. I was single at the time and wasn't getting any. I got the $20 rubber vagina, with built-in butthole, too, and walked up to the counter and said, "My brother is getting a divorce. Is this a good gift to celebrate?" Everyone laughed and said it was perfect. I came inside of it like 13 minutes later. It was pretty awesome. Not me, but a buddy of mine worked at a smut shop for a few years a long time ago. He's got tons of stories, but my favorite one was when he was working and this older guy came to buy a bunch of gay porn and rent some gay videos. I told you it was a long time ago. After the guy paid, he left and went home, called the store and asked for my friend by description. My buddy answered and the guy said he'd give him $40 for his underwear. I asked him, "Well, what the hell did you do?" "I stripped those bastards off in the bathroom, threw them in a plastic bag, and gave them to that idiot for $40. He never saw the guy again, and he has some more awesome stories about other people, but I always liked this one. Years ago a friend of mine was a manager at an adult shop. At the time, she told me that a guy came in looking for a device that would basically insert his balls back into his person. Lots of other people would come in for crack pipes too, which also wasn't sold in that store. I worked at a hospital, but the story is NSFW and he was using a sex toy. As an X-ray tech I saw several weird X-rays. One in particular was an action figure inside a man's rectum. As I handed him the X-rays he says, "Well, I'm sure you saw the X-rays and have questions." Well, I was playing with my daughter in the bathroom and slipped, and I fell right on the dang thing. I remained silent, but my first thought was "Why are you playing with your daughter naked, What do they make like they used to?" The most common paper clip design has been around since the 1890s, although not all are made in the traditional way. Source: https://www.scientificamerican.com/article/the-paper-clip. Bricks. Structural components of buildings can't really be designed to fail without people getting indicted. Those hard caramel candies. Estwing hammers, a true quality brand that is still a quality product. You have to pay for it, but who gives a shit? Newspapers. I still get ink all over my hands. Fuck you, newspapers. Cereal bags. Why are they not Ziploc yet? Fuck you, cereal bags. The wheels on shopping carts. Just as shitty now as they were 50 years ago. Legos Lego. Edit: damn, you guys are hard on the spelling. Existential crisis. Violins. Even down to the glue that comes from animal skin. Probably fried eggs. I mean, eggs from chickens have not changed, and a fried egg is just an egg cooked on a flat surface for a few minutes. That shit has not changed in like 100,000 years.